All right, here we go. Oh, wait, hold on. Ready, set, and action.
And here we are. And here we go. And
Maybe we should
here
switch
we
it.
move.
You should say action because I'm better at hosting.
You're better at, yeah. I'm not good on the spot, even though I guess it's not on the spot since this happens every week. I guess
Yeah, it's not the spot. You had 7 days to prepare
for a opening line. Yeah, I'm not like a host guy. I don't know how to be like, and we're I don't know how to do the host thing. How do you do the host thing?
Yeah, you're not you're not good.
I have no
Caddyshack.
panache.
Panache. That's a great Schindler's List moment. I make sure it has a certain panache.
Panache. Yeah, that's true. That is a good that's a good word. But sorry, I'm really tired. I keep on doing this thing where I wait till the last second to watch the movie. I woke up at like 4 a.m. to try to get in Treasure of Sierra Madre.
It's so frustrating because you choose the movies. That's what's insane. You're like,
it. You can't get mad. I fucking watched it.
I know, but you're always pushing it. Sometimes you don't, though. Many times you haven't watched, or you miss it, or you watch half of it, or whatever.
I have this thing where like I was always bad at school. I was always doing my own shit, and somehow like I got really bad at like homework. And I know that like we're choosing to watch these, but somehow in my head I'm like I just push it to the last second. It's like it's a shortcoming that I just can't like crack, you know.
But this like isn't even homework. This is like the job. This is the gig. This is the test. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean I created the school.
Right. And I wanted to do Evil Dead, which would have gotten way more views. People know about Evil Dead. Nobody cares about Bogart.
We could have done Evil Dead. I had a suggestion. Bogart's great. We'll do Evil Dead eventually. We got to talk. We haven't done classic movies on this show.
I think you just don't want to help me out. I'm like, I already watched this. Because that's the problem with the movie thing, is I want to watch movies at my own volition, discretion, rhythm, whatever. And by the way, I saw the new Schrader movie, The Card Sheet.
I heard it's bad.
Card Counter.
I heard it's bad.
Card Counter, what's it called? The Card Sheet's a Clash song.
Who
said it was bad?
My buddy, a couple friends. Is it good?
I liked it. Maybe I'm a queef. I mean, there's some shortcomings. There's a couple issues that I don't want to talk about, but I liked it. I thought it was enjoyable. I thought it was fun. It's Schrader. You got to give him some fucking leeway.
I mean, I'll give him leeway. I just heard it was I love Schrader. I love First Reformed. I mean, but also it's like maybe it doesn't live up to the hype of First Reformed.
It's not as good as First Reformed.
I mean, I really wanted to see it. Do you hate where like you're really excited to see a movie, and then a couple other people see it before you, and then they're like, it sucks. And then you're like, fuck, now I don't even, like, do I not see it now? Like, it was like a movie I was excited about. And then people say it sucks. And then like, I guess I just won't see it now, you know?
I'm telling you, it's pretty good. I liked it.
Well, yeah. Well, I have 2 sucks and a good from you. But how good is it? It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. It's
pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to.
Here's the thing. First of all, you have to see it. It's Schrader. He's making movies still.
All right, fine. I'll see it. Is it on I'll see it. It's on HBO, right?
I don't even know who you are anymore.
I'm not going to go to the theater for a 2 sucks and a pretty good. I'm not going to spend $20 for a 2 sucks and a pretty good. Where you at the end of the pretty good, you did the curve thing where your voice went higher, suggesting it was kind of a lie. You're like, it's pretty good.
It's not 2 sucks and a pretty good. It's a Schrader. It's a Schrader Oscar Isaac. I mean, Scorsese produced. A producer doesn't do shit except for me. When I produced my movie, I did a lot, but it's Paul Schrader. Forget the 2 sucks and a thing. It's one of the brilliant artists in the history of American film making a movie. You go see it.
So you got to watch if you love a director, you got to just watch each one of them. To me, it depresses me when a great director makes a shit movie. You know what I mean?
You've decided it's a shit movie.
I mean, maybe, all right, yeah, I'll see it, but it's just not a lot of fucking encouragement. You know, it sounds like, how many stars would you give it from 1 to 4?
Out of how many? 4 is stupid. I hate the 4 system. 4's not enough.
We never talked stars on this. Like because that used to be the old star rating. It used to be 1 to 4 stars.
I know 4 stars I've always felt is stupid because you need a longer range. I like a grade, A+, A, B. You have a whole range.
I told you I don't like homework. I like the stars. 4 stars. That's like a perfect movie.
Well,
sounds like you're giving this. It sounds like you're giving this like 2.5.
You need at least a 5-star system because you need like classic, great, good, okay, shit.
So you think there should be a difference between like classic and great? Okay, so in other words, you're like, there's great, and then there's like, this is going to be in the film canon.
Yes, like Royal Tenenbaums is great, Rushmore is classic. Rushmore is better than Royal Tenenbaums. But Royal Tenenbaums is great.
I guess that grading system can only be in retrospect though, because you can't tell at the time. But like later on, you can grade it based on that. You know,
I guess so. I thought this movie, it's hard. First of all, I've said many times, I got to see a movie twice to get a proper review going. I mean, I was on the Jersey Shore. It's Friday night. I'm with my wife. It's a beautiful night. I love going to the movies. We always go to the movies the night before this festival. And it's Schrader, it's Oscar Isaac. And, it's fun. Willem Dafoe's in there, who's, all
right. Well, here's how I'll grade how much you like it. Are you going to see it again to give it a good review? That's the question.
Yeah, I'll go see it again.
You'll see it again?
Of course. Theaters. Yeah, maybe I'll go with you and then we'll do a bonus for the Patreon.
All right. You'll see it in theaters. We'll go to the theaters together. I'll do the popcorn trick like in Diner.
Raanan, I am a movie star. Money's not an object to me. Do you see? I'll buy everyone in the theaters ticket. I produced a movie, for God's sakes.
Well, that's a good recommendation. If you're saying you're going to see it again, that's a good recommendation. That's better than pretty good.
Oh, I'll absolutely see it again. I'll probably see it 3-4 times.
Are you kidding? Really? It's that good?
Well, I like
just insane.
I like cards. I like poker. I like blackjack. I like The World. I like Oscar Isaac. And you want to see what else you missed. I mean, the guy's an artist, so he's putting things in there, and there's interesting stuff. Plus, you find out the stuff you like to watch from the beginning now, knowing what's going to happen.
Okay, well, all right. That's a good. Saying you'll see it again is that's huge. That's like 3.5 stars.
Is it as good as Blue Collar? Is it as good as Raging Bull? Is it as good as First Reformed?
Taxi
No,
Driver?
Of course not.
By the way, he has a black comic in all his movies.
Interesting.
Yeah, Richard Pryor, Cedric the Entertainer, and Tiffany Haddish.
Yes, who was just great in the movie.
I heard
it's a little bit we talked about
the high voice. She's great.
Well, I don't know Tiffany. I'm sure she's a wonderful woman. I just felt that she was a little outclassed with Oscar Isaac, but I also think she's not written.
You're
terrific.
saying someone who's not really an actress was outclassed by like one of the best actors.
Oscar Isaac really is unbelievable, and I wish he would choose more great movie. It's enough with the Star Wars shit already. What are we doing?
Yeah, but he does other good shit.
He does, but it's like I feel like it's quite a while in between, and then we got a bunch of Star Wars.
But he's got to make that's the worst thing about that Star Wars Marvel shit. They're just, I mean, Birdman brought this up. They're taking all the best actors and wasting them, so that it's literally taking it from good movies.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's why I hate them, and I hate like people are like, you got to see the new Marvel movie. It's Asians, and there's like a transgender, and I don't give a shit. I don't care how you make the Marvel movie. I don't respect it.
No, I really don't care. We talk about this. I want a movie where it's two people sitting at a table and they're like, I don't love you anymore.
I know.
I love your father or whatever. That's what I'm into.
Human shit is so more entertaining. Like to me, did you ever see that movie Pacific Rim where it's like two giant machines fighting? And it's Guillermo del Toro, who I love. Nothing makes me more bored than when you just completely go away from humans, and it's just like I think it's like a giant machine and a giant dragon or some bullshit, and there's just no humans involved. And you're just like, what am I watching? No,
I felt that way with Superman too. Every once in a while, every 6 months, I'm like, you know what? I'm too much of a cunt. I gotta really try things. I'll go watch The Sopranos and the dinosaurs. And
don't compare those to the Marvel. I mean, Sopranos and Jurassic Park's amazing, but like
not Jurassic World.
I love Jurassic World.
You're kidding.
I really loved it. I mean,
the fucking lady in the high heels taking the machine gun and beating up Chris Pratt.
Stupid. It was a B movie, but it's like a B movie where half the time was legitimately funny and half the time you can make fun of it. Either way, you're having fun. I love it.
I don't understand. So now we're going to give good reviews to movies we can make fun of?
Well, I mean, it's a fun B movie. Look, we all have certain biases, right? For you, you'll like come about any movie about like baseball or dads. For me, it's dinosaurs, I love dinosaurs. You love baseball and people and supporting someone. Any movie where someone encourages someone, you're like, it's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. But that's because I didn't get encouraged. So I see encouragement and it warms my heart, which is what a film is supposed to do. You're talking about fucking dinosaurs. What did you grow up in? I didn't get to see
dinosaurs. I never got to see dinosaurs because they're extinct, and I love seeing them.
Well, then you should love movies about pussy.
Oh, wow. That's a little After I told you that thing that insulted me earlier, man.
Wow.
But I mean, I do. It's not like yes, I do love movies about pussy.
Is there a photo of Steve Rogers and Caitlin Palufo behind you? Speaking of pussy,
It's a fucking calendar. The fucking homos. They made a calendar with themselves on it.
Was that a fart that you just did?
No. Oh, because I moved this way.
You leaned, yeah.
No. I was showing because my fat disgust. Thought I was blocking it. I was showing the whole calendar.
Well, why would you be blocking? Why would I point it out if you were blocking it? I can see it.
I don't know. I got to bring this up before the people watching it. No, I can't say I'm insulted because then they'll insult me more. Just here's the thing. We were talking about this before. I'm very insecure right now. I shared a video of me and Sam's documentary. It's me like talking about being fat, and then someone comments going, maybe it's your 40-pound head. It's like, I'm already making fun of me for being fat. You don't have to. That's the joke. I'm already doing it. You don't have to add to it.
But I think what happens in that situation is they're going, oh, you're making fun of your fat. So you get it. You like it. If you didn't make fun of yourself for being fat, they wouldn't.
But I'm not insulted when I'm the one doing it. I'm not going to I can't hurt my own feelings.
But can't you?
I guess I probably could. But I just hate, you know what I'm saying? Like when you make fun of yourself and then someone comments like the same joke, it's like, I just did this.
Yeah, no. I had a thing one time where I was on You Know What Dude podcast. And this comic, there was like a young comic on, and he was just talking about how much reverence he had for me. And I was his favorite comic, and he was nervous to meet me. And then like an hour later in the show, he made a joke about like, yeah, because you suck at comedy. And I was like, what? I was like, that doesn't work. And Bobby's like, just take it. You don't like it because he's a young guy. And I'm like, no, I don't like it because it didn't make sense. I'm like, I don't mind being zinged by a young comic, but I'm like, it's got to make sense. You can't be like, you're the best comic and I'm nervous to meet you because I love you. And then be like, because you suck, you hack. I'm like, what?
It's just, bringing you down. Yeah. By the way, I'm speaking of feelings hurt. I'm going to be on the road with Bobby and Louie, and I'm going to be crying halfway through. Bob's fun, but like his jokes hurt.
It's the three of you?
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to worry about talking at all. So that's good.
I'm like, he's going to insult me, and because he's funny, but like some of his roasting can like really get you down in the feelings pretty hard.
Yeah, and there's nothing about him that you could make fun of.
He'll beat me up. He'll throw me off the bus.
I feel like you're going to come back smoking cigars. I would love it if you just came back with like a humidor and you're like, have you ever smoked my father's?
Well, maybe I will. But he's the kind of guy who like he'll make fun of you, but it also seems serious. So like you're laughing, but your feelings are hurt at the same time. And then it's kind of scary. He's like Joe Pesci.
Right.
Basically going to be hanging out. He'll be like, fuck you, you fucking piece of shit. And I'm like, are you serious? I'm like such a non-confrontational guy. I don't know. How do you handle it? Give me some tips.
Well, I mean, some tips I would have to give you off air, but you can just be like, you can be like, what are you talking about? I mean, like, hurt people. I'll say that.
Right. All right. Well, I'll tell him that.
Yeah, say that.
And
like, Bobby's also a homo. He's a kinder, gentler Bobby. You're thinking of Bobby from the 90s. Bobby's a sweet man. He meditates. He's a spiritual being. I've been working on him hard. Okay, great. Well, I'm excited. We got to get to Bogart here. Oh, wait, I got to address one more thing here. Maybe I shouldn't address it because it's funny. But there's some guy, I read some of the comments. I can never read the comments again. Our commenters, I think, are a little off. They're a little touched in the head. Yeah, I can see that. I like how suddenly you're too coy to say the R word suddenly. Like you say it every episode, and now you're like, they're a little. Well, I don't want to call the fans retarded. Touched in the head. It's just hilarious to see you skirt around a word you go out of your way to say every time. I don't want to insult them. I don't call them retarded. I call movies retarded. I call my mother retarded. Like watching like a head of a KKK being like not openly racist. Like the black people are a little. They're not always punctual. I'm not going to say too much. Is that what the KKK is about? Their punctuality? They hate that they're late. That's the issue. Yeah. I wanted to love all people, but Jerome was 6 minutes late to the meeting. And so I bought a hood. Yeah. All right, let's get into it. We're talking Bogart. Let's get. No, kooky. You can say a common thing. Just say the common thing. You didn't say it. I don't want to hurt feelings. Okay. All right. Well, tell it to me off air. I'll tell you to off
Oh,
air.
they're gonna hurt my feelings?
No, I already told you off air like a week ago, 2 days ago.
It was something insulting to me.
It was insulting to everybody,
Okay.
to both of us. All right, let's get into some movies. Humphrey Bogart. We're talking Bogart.
Well, let's talk about right away. We're talking Treasure Sierra Madre and Casablanca. The first issue we've discussed, which people can call in or tweet or whatever, like, is he attractive or ugly?
It's funny because I wrote down somewhere in my dumb notes the scene in Sierra Madre where he gets his hair done.
Yeah.
He looks like a retarded person. He looks like Ben Stiller when Stiller goes full retard.
It's disgusting. Like because his face is so long. It looks like someone stretched out his face. And then when he gets the haircut without the beard, it's just like it's just so long. Yeah. He looks like you know what he looks like? He looks like Frankenstein or like the Munster, the guy from My Cousin Vinny.
I can't oh yeah, I know that guy. Yeah, he looks like that guy.
That.
I got so many notes I can't even read, but I wrote down so many. He looks like these things. He looks like Buster Keaton a little bit. They look similar. In fact,
I can totally see that.
In fact, there was a big black and white photo of Buster Keaton at the Comedy Connection in Boston. And for like 2 years, I was young. I was a teenager, and I was like, why? This is so out of place. I'm like, there's like Groucho Marx, Charlie Chaplin, and then Humphrey Bogart. And people are like, that's Buster Keaton, you fucking idiot.
Well, he slaps a woman in Maltese Falcon. That's funny.
He is very funny, I guess.
I mean, he says some funny lines. Does he have any? Well, nah, not really.
I mean, there's jokes in Casablanca, but I don't know if he has.
Does he say some of the jokes? He's very witty in Casablanca. But yeah, I don't know. But then on the other hand, he's kind of attractive too. He's like ugly and attractive, I said it before. He looks somewhere between good looking and Adam Carolla, like somewhere right in the middle between those two.
Yeah, he's
right.
But I was shocked to find out in Casablanca, he's 37 years old in the movie. Like I'm older than Rick. Isn't that weird?
I found out I'm older than Walter Houston in Treasure Sierra Madre. He's only 36 in that.
I mean, it's just wild. Like he's a younger than but I think it's the cigarettes.
That's so people looked much worse back then. But it is the upsetting thing about watching old movies, because you'll always have that part where like it's an old has-been in the movie, and there'll always be that part where he's like, I'm old, I'm used up, I got nothing. Tomorrow I'm already 30. And you're like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, it's
always that moment where you're like, oh fuck.
It's crazy. I have that with Neil Armstrong was 38 when he walked on the moon, a 38-year-old American on the face of the moon. So I'm now older than Neil Armstrong when he went on the moon.
But I feel like you have to be pretty old to go on the moon,
That's what I'm saying. And I'm older than him.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying you feel like you haven't had any accomplishments like equal to that?
No, I got lots of accomplishments, but it's just I didn't go to the moon. I wouldn't mind a moonwalk. Yeah,
but he tells jokes. He's probably afraid. Think about this. He's probably afraid to do comedy. Most people are afraid to do comedy. So you are braver than Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, public speaking, number one fear.
Isn't that interesting? We're more brave than soldiers.
Absolutely.
First responders.
Yep.
Like every fireman who like immediately ran into, I was going to call it 9/11, immediately ran into the buildings. Mm-hmm. We're braver than them. That's pretty cool.
I'm just going to sit here in that. I don't want anything to do with the 9/11 part.
Well, I mean, there's just something that if they, it's not that we're braver, but we're equally brave. Like they couldn't do jokes. They'd be scared. They'd piss their pants. And we'd be like, get on stage, you fucking queer. Quit being such a pussy.
Well, that's why this is the thing about, Seinfeld had the great bit, but his bit exposes the bullshittery of public speaking being the number one fear. Because I think people like us, you and I, are people that think about death constantly. I presume. Yes. I'm speaking for myself, but yeah.
Oh, all the time.
Is this a funny bit? I tried to do this joke. There's an old adage with anxiety where people say, try to think about what you were worried about 1 year ago today. The idea being like you were worried about something, but you can't even remember what it is. But I'm like, no, I know what it was. Death. That's what I was worried about. It doesn't work on me.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm like, death is what I worried about.
That's me too. I'm so anxious about death. And then you hear other people's anxiety. I'm like, who gives a shit? Like people be like, I'm just anxious that that my job will get like I'll get a pay cut or something. I'm like, death is the thing to be anxious about.
But there's a theory, some philosopher, I've probably talked about this with you before. This philosopher had a theory that all fear can be broken into two things: fear of being alone and fear of dying. So if you're afraid of losing your job, you're afraid that you're going to have no money, no way to make money, everyone's going to hate you, you'll be alone, or that you won't be able to feed yourself, you'll die.
And I have 14 panic attacks a week when I don't get enough spots at the cellar. So obviously I'm
exactly
person. Can I tell you this? Can I just run a quick? I tried to do this on stage. Is this funny? Have you tried this anxiety thing? It bombed though, but like, you know how like when you have anxiety, the hard thing about anxiety is like when it happens, you're supposed to tell yourself positive thoughts, right?
I guess I don't have that method, but sure.
Is that a bad setup? Maybe it's a bad setup because if you're really anxious, you should be like, you're going to be fine, you know?
Okay.
But then a lot of times when I get anxiety, it's like constipation. And I can't tell my asshole everything's going to be fine. Is that a bad bit? Is it just
That's a terrible bit.
Terrible.
I mean, it's just insane. It's an insane bit. I mean, first of all,
makes no sense.
From a technical standpoint, this is like not comedy. This is more my anxiety expertise. This is turning into Mindful Metal Jacket and not the movie podcast. But your body does respond. You can tell your body to relax and shit. Like if you settle yourself, you'll shit better. The constipation is from stress and anxiety, and you don't tell yourself positive things.
You can't communicate to your asshole. Like your asshole is outside your realm of control.
You think that. But it's part of your body. If you calm yourself, everything else calms as well. Your asshole is reacting to your brain. They're all connected.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, honestly, I'm glad the joke is bad because I've learned this useful advice.
I mean, it might work as a bit. I don't know. It's shit. Jokes.
It bombed like a couple times. It's not.
All right. Yeah, it stinks. But
I didn't think.
So, anyways,
that great.
My point is, when people say their biggest fear is public speaking, it's because they're not thinking about death. And they're probably like religious people, no offense to religious people, but they're probably these people that are like, when you die, it gets better. I go to a cloud city and God hands me, chocolate chip cookies.
Right. But it's also like, I think, you can't control what you're anxious about. I think some people just, the idea of public speaking is just terrifies their entire body. You know what I mean? Their whole body, their asshole, everything. I think it's overwhelming. But here's the thing. We're also afraid of public speaking. We're just more narcissistic. I mean, we were afraid in the beginning. It's not like we went on stage and we're fine. We were terrified. We're just more, comics are just more narcissistic than they are afraid. We're more afraid of being ignored than getting all the attention.
Yes.
That's our big fear. Our big fear is being invisible.
But here's anyway, how here's the experiment. This is the last thing.
Okay.
This experiment to show that public speaking fear is bullshit. If there was a 9/11 happened again, the fucking New World Trade Center had a plane in it, it was whatever. And then you walked up to every American and you're like, hey, would you do me a favor and run up to the top of this building or talk to this group of people for 5 minutes? 100% of people are gonna be like, oh, I'll go talk to these people. That's where it's like, it's horseshit. No one's like, hey, I'll run into a fiery building, except for these fucking heroes that you're making a mockery of.
It would be kind of funny if a plane hit the new tower, too.
I mean, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to end your career here?
Sorry.
Funny. It would be horrible. And I'm sure they're planning it, you asshole.
Well, it should be like, how many times is it going to happen? But all right, let's talk about Bogart.
We got to get into Bogart. What movie do you want to talk about first?
Let's talk Casablanca first, right?
All right. White House.
Or should we talk Treasure Sierra Madre? Because Casablanca might get contentious. Should we fight first or jack off together first?
So you hate Sierra Madre?
No, I love Sierra Madre. I have issues with Casablanca that might get heated. Maybe we should talk Treasure Sierra Madre.
You pick. Since you picked the movies and barely watched them, you pick the order.
Let's do Treasure Sierra Madre.
All right. Great.
Well, I mean, I've never seen it, by the way.
Yeah, that's surprising to me.
I never seen it. And watching it now, it's crazy when you watch an old movie that you're like, oh, every movie I've ever seen is influenced by this.
Yes, of course.
Like you got There Will Be Blood. You got basically a shot from There Will Be Blood of him with the pickaxe on the that's just like he just took that shot.
Yeah, There Will Be Blood. I mean, Daniel Plainview is the same character essentially, and he said that his performance is based on Bogart's performance in Sierra Madre.
Oh, really? What's
Yeah.
interesting, I heard he was trying to do the voice of John Huston, which is interesting, the
Well,
director.
the voices, and
combination.
I think that's a choice to be an homage to this movie as well. Yeah, he sounds exactly like John Huston in the movie, but the character is so similar.
Right. No. Yeah. So you see that. You see what I mean. I wrote a couple. First of all, a scene basically Apocalypse Now just uses.
Which one?
Can you guess? I mean, it's not exactly the same, but it seems like a direct homage.
Let me see. I might have written something down. Why don't you just tell me while I'm looking at my notes here?
It's the scene where the guy gets shot, Cody, and then they read the letter after he's dead.
Oh, right. Oh, I didn't even put that together.
That feels like exactly from Apocalypse Now, you know?
I mean, that scene is so moving and touching.
It's incredible. It's an incredible scene. And then also, so a lot of it, like Walter Houston feels a little like Robert Shaw from Jaws at times, you know? Like just like the manlier guy who seems to know everything. I feel like the scene where he yells at them, he makes fun of them for being fool's gold.
Mm-hmm.
That seems so much, even though it's like an opposite fight, that seems so much like in Jaws when the rope is being pulled in the beginning, but it's not a shark and they argue about it. He just feels he's like the ultimate manly guy, you know?
Except they're kind of a reverse though.
It's reverse. Yeah. But it feels similar, you know?
Yeah, like, it is similar. Although, you know, Walter Houston, is that his name? Walter, dad?
Yeah, Walter Houston, yeah.
He who won the Academy Award for that.
Amazing.
Movie.
From the first scene, it's just like, it's like incredible, his acting, you know?
No, he's perfect. It's fun that his like son got this great performance out of him. And evidently when he went into like filmmaking, Walter was like, someday you write a part for me and then I'll win an Oscar. And then it happened, which is like quite
really
touching. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, also I read that he didn't want the part at first because he was like, I'm a leading man. I don't want to play a supporting role.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, there's a little tension. Apparently he thought he was like still a leading man, even though he looks like he's 75 in this. I guess he was like latching onto it, you know?
He's probably the same age as Bogart, the fucking addict.
I'm old. Tomorrow I'll be 32.
But no, he's great. He's such a great character, and it's a supporting role, but he's in it most of the movie. I mean, it's the three of them together, and he's the last man standing, essentially.
Yeah, it's not really a supporting role. I don't think he knows how ensembles work.
Yeah, I mean, if you looked at screen time, he probably has almost as much screen time. I mean, he comes in a little bit later, but
yeah, I mean, it's so weird. Like I guess Bogart's technically the main character. By the way, I had no idea Bogart's just a bad guy. That must have been. I mean, he was like a big star. Like that must have been a big deal for him to like just be a bad guy in a movie. You know?
I think so, but well, here's one of the issues with the movie, which we talked about before, and it's been pointed out by many critics. And I think it's a good point, and it's similar to what Stephen King's complaint about Nicholson in The Shining that we agree with, is that he seems extremely corruptible and crazy from the get-go. Like the idea of the movie is that greed has corrupted him and can turn even the best guy into this horrible nightmare. But from the very beginning, seems like a nut and seems like a schemy guy. He doesn't seem like a straightforward, nice guy.
No, he doesn't. And then it's very much like The Shining. He kind of like, he doesn't seem that great. And he also seems like he goes a little crazy a little too quickly. Seems like the first time it's a little too, you know, I mean, I love the movie because there's so many beautiful things in it, but I like the idea of greed corrupting them, but it's a little Lord of the Ringsy with Gollum. He kind of sees the gold and is immediately like,
right. But I do think in the 40s and stuff, it wasn't until the 70s. That's why the 70s are so great, and the new wave and all that shit is because all of that shit is very theatery. They all came from that theatery thing. Yeah. And this was one of the first movies ever shot on location, maybe the first.
I know, I saw that, which is incredible. Yeah. You can sense it. It's dirty and, you know, like There Will Be Blood. It's like you can feel the sweat and how gross it is at all times.
And it's pre-Brando. I mean, like Brando came in with fucking Strasbourg or whatever and started doing that much more real act. I mean, like this was pretty good considering, because a lot of the 30s and 40s, it's like, now get out of here. See, look at me.
No, I think Walter Houston is one of those things where people around him are like, see here. And then he just seems like straight off a fucking dock. Like he just like, he feels so, and Bogart, I mean, Bogart's great. I mean, see, there are outdated things, but then you're like, is this like, obviously Humphrey Bogart at the end he does a lot of evil laughs.
Yes, there's a lot of like,
but then you're like, did this movie create the evil laugh? Maybe it was groundbreaking at the
No.
time. No, that's been around.
It got to have been the 30s. I mean,
Yeah,
right?
he does. Yeah, that's the thing about Bogart's acting. He's so understated, so it's upsetting to see him do the evil laugh, because it's like, what is the evil like? You're just laughing evilly. Like, no one actually does that. First of all, people don't laugh unless they find something funny. So anytime someone laughs when they don't find something funny, it just seems very unmotivated.
When I watch your set, I laugh even if it's not funny, just because
you do an evil.
I feel bad. Yeah, it's
You do
more of
an
a
evil-
supportive.
It's a supportive laugh.
But they all
I
do
guess
cookie laugh. I mean, it ends with the other two characters doing like not evil laugh, but like goofy laugh. Like it's that cliche
There's a lot of forced
thing.
laughs. There's a lot of forced
Yes.
laughs. But I will say, I thought the movie was beautiful and also it felt very Buddhist by the end. Did you sense that? Like that kind of Buddhist feel to it?
Yeah, well, the Walter Houston character for sure is that. It's all about acceptance. And it's also, they're actually sweet. I mean, the other guy whose name is Tim or something, which is weird. It feels weird to have a guy named Tim in the 40s.
I know, right?
I think that's his name. But they're both very zen, and it's nice that he's like, all right, why don't you go send that letter to the guy's wife? I mean, that scene where they read the letter is so beautiful and touching and moving. And it is exactly like Apocalypse Now. And it's hard not to be touched by it.
It's a beautiful letter, and then Humphrey Bogart always has these perfect cold. He has two amazingly cold lines right after the letter. Of course, he's the one who immediately goes, "Guess we got to dig a hole now." Like he just doesn't get it.
Right.
But then he has the best cold line. One of the best cold lines ever in a movie of like not caring, when he gets killed and they come back and they, "Oh, Cody's dead." He just immediately goes, "It's one less gun."
Right. Oh yeah. No, that's good.
Then blink. He's just like, "Shit, one less gun."
That whole sequence is great and truly tense. For some reason, I always find it amazing. And we talk about this with Casablanca too, because I was like, I get moved to like, I get misty eyed like a fucking douche. But it's amazing that movies that were made 70 years ago or whatever, that you can still feel that amazing tension. Like Sierra Madre, I've seen, this is probably the third or fourth time I've watched it. And that scene where like Cody comes up and then the bandits are coming. It's almost like Lone Survivor, that Mark Wahlberg movie.
I know.
Very similar. They're up on the mountain. There's four of them. Like, all right, let's all take our spots and see what happens.
Well, it's a great, yeah, you're right. The tension is almost like it doesn't get dated. And it's that moment is such a great gap of expectation where they're so focused on this one guy and whether to kill him or not. And it's just so many, it kind of reminds me, did you see the 19, what's it called? 17 or whatever.
Hijackers?
The movie, the World War I movie that came out last year where the camera.
Oh, 1917.
There's an amazing sequence where it's just so many gaps of expectations with the plane and it crashes and all this shit. And that moment, there's so many gaps of expectations. It creates so much tension. They're deciding whether to kill him or not. They decide to kill him. They're about to kill him. And suddenly there's this much bigger danger. There's just so many twists and turns. It puts you on the edge of your seat.
And then they need him. And also
they need the guy. They need the guy they were just about, that he knows they're about to kill.
And he's such a compelling and sweet character, even when you first see him. And then when you hear the letter, you go back and you look at all of his motivations, that he's in the place being like, hey, what are you guys doing? You finding something? It feels almost like lonely. You relate as like a kid being like, what are you guys doing? Can I maybe come with you guys? I have a family. I'm loved. I'm a sweet, loving guy.
It's real high school shit. And it's also like, in a way, even though Humphrey Bogart's turn is like not that surprising, the biggest character reveal is that guy, that you see him as this really suspicious guy and a threat. And then you hear the letter and like, oh, he's trying to support his family.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like desperate. And it's a great flip on a character you're afraid of. And then you realize, oh, he might be the best person.
And in the middle of this kind of action thriller, fucking adventure movie, the very same lesson of It's a Wonderful Life is right in there.
I know,
Like she's like, but no matter what happens, we have everything you need right here in Hearth and Home. It's such a beautiful letter. I should have wrote down more of it, but the movie has such respect for the environment and
Yes.
locals and traditions and love. It's all kind of in there. It's such a sweet life lesson in there from this letter from his wife that he carries with him and then dies tragically. And you're like, this is like a painful death in a movie of a character we only knew for about 3 minutes.
It's so many different, it is a brilliant sequence because there's so many different emotions you have one after the other. You're afraid of him. You're like, oh, he's a threat. Then they're about to kill him. And then you kind of feel bad for him. And then he dies in this other way, in this very anticlimactic way. You don't even see his death, you know? And then you're like, kind of don't care again. And then the letter, suddenly you have this whole life story about him, which is, to me, the beauty of art when you can look at someone in a very different perspective. You're like, oh, this guy, you have this whole other movie basically where like his family wanted him to stay, but he felt this kind of need to support his family in a way that that masculine, strong need to support his family disconnected him from his family, you know? And you see its own tragic movie right there, you know?
You actually get more information on him than you do the other 3 main characters. And and also this story that continues obviously now of the story of so many crimes of this a capitalist society where you feel like I need to make as much as I can. And that's what they're all trying to do, except for Walter Houston, who's quite content.
Well, that Walter is the ultimate Buddhist thing at the end. The laugh, the sing, the wind, just anything with wind is always Buddhist. But seeing the wind carry the gold away and him just start laughing is that like, oh, that Buddhist ironic detachment where you're like, take a step back, don't get involved, observe the absurdity of it all, observe the impermanence, find it funny. You know what I mean? That moment is like an incredible like Buddhist experience after watching the inevitable awful conclusion of like capitalism, which is Humphrey Bogart just randomly getting hacked by those guys, which is just it's a great death because it's so absurd and also just so anticlimactic, you know?
And the beauty of these bandits that don't realize it's gold, they just dump it out. It's not even like they stole it or lost it. They're just like, this is bullshit. Let's sell this stuff. Because they're like in this capitalist mindset too of like, I'll sell this so I can make my money.
It just shows you how arbitrary all values are. Because like, yeah, they don't see the gold. They see something everywhere. And then even seeing the gold makes you lose sight of like the important things in life. Everyone's just losing sight of shit. And then, and it's great that the gold gets scattered around these kind of old ruins, you know? Nothing shows the impermanence, you know, just these old ruins or a whole civilization was there that's gone. Right. Everything's gone in the end. And then this gold just scatters away. And when the other guy, Tim or Kyle or whatever modern name he has, when he's like, where do you want to go next? And he's like, every place is as good as the next. That is also like a very Buddhist thing. Like there's a story of a Zen master who's looking for enlightenment all his life and he couldn't find it. And then he goes into like a butcher shop and he sees a client talking to the butcher and the client goes, what's your best piece of meat? And the butcher goes, they're all the best piece of meat. And in that moment, the Zen master finds enlightenment. And that reminded me of that, hearing this, like every place is as good as the next. When you are enlightened, there is no, this place great, this place sucks. It's all kind of great. It's all kind of life. It's all the beauty of life, you know, the beauty, like every experience is as great as the next if you're, you know, become one with it. Sorry, I'm reading The Power of Now.
It's just like, oh, are you for the first time?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredible.
It was actually really funny. I was with this girl the other night and I was telling her all about The Power of Now and I sounded like really culty. I was like, it's great. It's all about living in the moment. And then like a minute later, we were like we went to the wrong address and I got so upset. I'm like, God damn, we're going to be fucking late for this part. Like I completely just disproved everything had changed.
Of course it's hard. But then you catch yourself in that moment. You come back, you begin again.
Yeah, I love it. It's really helping me a lot. But anyway, that's a story from that.
That book is unbelievable. I love that you started talking about this woman. You started whispering as though we're not recording this and blasting it out to anybody that wants to listen. You're like, and then this girl. You're also, I think, are you still at Steve and Caitlin's house? Or is that your calendar?
Yeah, I don't just have a fucking calendar of my fucking place.
It's so funny also that you're whispering because I'm like, the only person that would overhear you is me. I'm your neighbor. We're thinking about getting a studio. We're gonna figure this out. I just don't know how to record in person next week. I actually like Zoom recording. I like it. I don't want to be near you.
No, we should film. We should do in person. I think
we
That's
will.
better,
We'll get a studio.
you know?
We'll do
it. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We should get lunch after this or something.
Yeah, I'm down. I just got to clean the apartment a little. You know,
I got to bounce some bits. Okay, some other things about this movie. It contains maybe the worst fight scene of all time. When they try to beat up McKinnon or whatever his name is, McCormick. I mean, it's just it's so bad. I mean, the camera is cool. There's some beautiful shots where the camera's like on the ground and McCormick's on the like laying down, and they're at the bar after with the money. But the actual fight is just embarrassing.
Yes, but I'm gonna step on your dick here for a second and just say I actually found the fight, even though obviously it's old school fighting. I found it like pretty shocking watching for like maybe it's because I had never seen the movie, but it's a pretty shocking fight right away. It's a pretty ugly fight for the 40s, you know.
I guess what I mean is I don't mean worst fight scene as its usage in a movie. I mean like it's the worst depiction of a fight. Like they're like jumping and like falling, and it's goofy. It doesn't look like a fight, and they should be fucking grabbing bottles and smashing each other and stuff. It's just like that's not what any fight has looked like. Cinematically, it works
for sure, but I will say for a 40s, because that fight begins with him just like breaking a bottle over his head, right?
Does it? Maybe it does.
I was like, whoa, I didn't know they did abrupt bottle breakings in the 40s. Like I thought every fight in the 40s just began with put your dukes up and you know what I mean? Like it was kind of like a pretty abrupt, almost Scorsese violence right away. I was actually, I know obviously, you know, it took like 40 years for them to realize we should probably figure out a way to show the fist touch the face.
I mean, there's still, it just looked like they weren't like violent. I guess he smashes a bottle, but it's a lot of like dancing. But by the way, the 40s is like one of the great decades for film. They were doing some amazing stuff.
Well, the other thing, I mean, it's better than I find the Godfather fight worse when it looks like Mick Foley's about to come in at any point when he's just fucking, jumping on the rig.
But he does hit him with the stick.
Yeah, but there's a couple of like, oh, Jesus.
There's one like a legendary one where he misses him by a foot. It's weird that Coppola was like, we'll shoot right down the barrel. Like you're like, you didn't think to shoot behind him?
Yeah. He was like, we'll figure it out in post, and they did not. But
no.
Yeah, well, the thing about the 40s movies, I will say, like and this is one of our like episodes we're doing classic movies, and I'm sure a lot of our fans are going to be annoyed or whatever, you know. But like, here's the thing about 40s movies: the good ones, they're tightly edited in a way that's not true for later movies. So a lot of 40s movies, you think you're going to be bored as fuck, but every scene moves the story forward in a way you don't see now a lot of times, you know.
No, the 40s are amazing. I mean, Citizen Kane, Casablanca, Sierra Madre, Wonderful Life. I mean, some amazing shit.
Well, some people are afraid to watch old movies. They're like, think it's boring, but like, I would say like they're way less boring than, you know, Avengers, whatever Holocaust length movie, you know, where you have to see every character's origin story for 32 minutes, you know?
I mean, I think we've touched on our hatred for the Marvel movies. Wait, what else did I want to say? We got to move to Casablanca at some point. We're almost an hour in already, but
all right. Well,
I got more to say. I got a bit more to say. All right, you go too.
Well, it opens great. You got John Huston in the beginning, which is cool. You recognize him, right?
Yep. Yes.
And then it is hilarious when those Mexicans just shoot at the train.
Yeah.
And then they just all take out guns, and then the train just keeps on moving.
I know, it's great. It's like Texas. It's like hell or high water. I mean, but also another great moment there that leads into Bogart's character is that he's keeping score of who shot the most, which is a great moment too. He's like, I got 4. He's like, I bet none of you got 4 or whatever. I mean, that's a great little insight too.
I guess I also was kind of like, oh, so they're all just totally okay with murder. Like
well, that's the time. I mean, it's not murder. They're getting shot at. I mean, they're defending themselves.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's like, oh, they didn't have like I just killed him. Like, did he kill someone for the first time, or did he kill people before?
Well, I don't know. I mean, does it
not count when they're Mexicans in that time period?
This isn't. Yeah, in the past, this isn't the case anymore. But I think a lot of white people didn't look at brown people as their equal.
Oh, so they just thought they were like, yeah, I shot 3 Mexicans. You know, if I shot like 8 more, that would have been 1 white person or something.
I think so.
Kind of
Luckily,
thing,
there's none
yeah.
of that left in our society, but I
No
do
more
think in the
racism.
40s they might have looked down upon the Mexican bandits.
Well, it felt like a ride at Universal, like where they just stop and the Mexicans come out of the show there, then the ride keeps on going, you know, and you got like the actor conductor. Oh no, bandits!
Yeah, that ride is it's called a car ride in Los Angeles. So there's we're talking about all these movies that this is influenced. Also very similar to No Country for Old Men in some ways, where Cody dies, you don't see him, you just kind of discover it. You think he's like a major character. He dies sort of unceremoniously. There's some qualities of that. Obviously, out in the country, the hard country, the older man is there. He cares less. He gets it. And then it's also like the Revenant.
I know.
It's very similar to Revenant. You think he's dead, he crawls away, he's back, and then now Bogart. It's almost exactly like it, like with Bogart being the Tom Hardy,
and getting killed by the natives,
exactly. Like, when he's worried about the other guy.
Yeah, no, the Revenant. I thought about that too. Yeah, every movie, like so many movies come out of this movie, and I love how all the deaths are unceremonious. Yeah, you don't see that guy get shot, and Humphrey Bogart's death, though apparently in the original version, did you know this? This is how they shot it. They shot it for Humphrey Bogart to be beheaded, and they literally had a fake head.
Oh, I did
roll into the water, and then
like Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, but apparently they thought they'd get away with it, even though it's the fucking 40s. They apparently thought they were like in the movie Saw. They had the head fall into the water, and then the MPA people were like, "No, like you can't even like." You know, you can't even talk about sex. You can't have a head roll into the water, and they cut it, but you still see the water ripple from the head.
Wow, that's fun.
Yeah.
I wish that they could have done it. Someone should remake this movie. Oh, wait, they've remade it in every movie that's ever been made. I feel like every heist movie is basically this, too.
Yeah, it's so many. Yeah, it is almost embarrassing that I've never seen this movie because you're watching it and you're just like, I'm watching it the wrong way. I'm like, this movie stole from The Revenant and Apocalypse Now. What the fuck? You know?
It's funny.
But yeah, no, it was the other thing that's oh yeah, what were you saying?
Oh, nothing. I wasn't saying anything, but I just thought of it. There's also Steven Spielberg that says Dobbs, the Bogart character, is the main influence for Indiana Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess, I don't really see that, but
I think kind of like this hard, sarcastic. He's got the gun. What do you want? I'm looking for gold.
Does Spielberg not realize that character is like evil?
Well, I think he doesn't start off evil. I think this is Indiana is him before. This is from Spielberg. I mean, I don't want.
The other thing, like this movie, like it reminds you how hard the 40s are. Like everything in this movie is so tough. Like they're begging for change, and then the guy's like, "You want to work on this rig? It's really hard, but I'll pay you 2 cents every 42 hours." And they do that, and then I realized the part where it's like shows you how hard life is. When they're dreaming about what they're going to do with the gold, which is a great scene, and all their dreams about what they're doing with the gold still involves them working. They're like, I'm going to take the gold and build a hardware store and work there. And the other guy's like, I'm going to build a farm and grow peaches. I'm like, oh, you can't. Back then you couldn't even retire with gold. You just moved on to another profession.
Right.
It's just like kind of depressing.
That's funny.
But yeah, great movie. I love the kind of ending, really beautiful Buddhist ending. And yeah, obviously Bogart's a little shining with the gold evil, but still pretty cool to see him be so fucked up.
Yeah, it's interesting because like Bogart, he's got such a huge group, but I only know 4 movies. I know like what's it called? African Queen or African African Queer. And then Maltese Falcon, Sierra Madre, Casablanca. I mean, those are basically the 4 movies I've seen.
Yeah, I mean, he plays there's always something a little like desolate about him. You know what I mean? Either he's evil or not, but there's always something like he's been run down, and I love it. You know,
The Oklahoma Kid.
Oklahoma Kid, yeah. But yeah, great movie, loved it. But now let's talk. Let's talk Casablanca.
I mean, so it feels like you've turned into just hating Casablanca, what you're implying here.
No, can I just say this? Like a couple of weeks ago, I don't know if you ever done this. I watched it while going to bed. I watch it while going to bed a lot because I find it very comforting. And I thought I woke up at the end and was crying. And I think I just dreamed that I was watching Casablanca and crying at the end, you know?
I lived it. I watched it and was crying at the end.
I don't know, but I was so moved. But then I watched it recently and I think it was, I don't know. I mean, let's talk about it. Like there's so many things I love about this movie and so many things where I'm just like, it doesn't hit me the way I thought I remembered hitting me. But so, I don't know. Where do we begin with Casablanca? I mean,
give me some flaw. I think we've talked about it a little bit before. The Casablanca is the movie that started this podcast because we were talking about it off air, I believe.
Right.
And we started making fun of it a bit. And then I was like, this should be a podcast. This would be good.
Well, okay. So I think the whole first 30 minutes are incredible. Like that whole opening is just like, and then when you watch a movie, you do feel like it is a movie about nostalgia. And it's almost nostalgia for the movies. It's like it makes you nostalgic for cinema, you know, in this way that's like very powerful. It's an interesting thing, Casablanca, because it feels, obviously that movie at one point came out and was just the movie that week, but it feels like the definition of a classic movie. You know what I mean?
Yes. Well, I mean,
it feels like it knows it's a classic, you know, or like it is.
It's truly one of the great scripts of all time. It is hard to, with all these old movies, to imagine it being new. And another confusing thing to me about this movie is it came out in the middle of the war.
Yes.
So it's straight because it feels like you're like, wait, what? Like it feels like a movie about the war that happened while the war was coming out. And evidently people have pointed out that we weren't quite aware of the Nazis' atrocities, but they were just taking over. Well, that's
the funny thing about
violently.
We talked about the Nazis in this seem very like
quite agreeable, very agreeable Nazis.
Yeah, they do it. They do a lot of like, meet me in my office tomorrow, you know, and like you wouldn't see like in Auschwitz, they weren't like, if a Jew did something bad, they weren't like, see me tomorrow at 9 a.m. We're gonna have a talking to.
That's right. I'm like, they just adore Sam the piano player. And Louis gave me shit about this. He's like, you don't understand the movie, you don't understand anything. So I'm sure a bunch of fans are gonna tell me I'm a fucking moron, especially if I said, you know, Lord Louis said it. They're gonna really think. But I guess I don't understand the explanation. I guess the Nazis in 1942, 3 years into the war, 4 years into the occupation,
already killed pretty much all the Jews in Europe at that point.
I mean, so I guess we didn't know, but I mean, like they are quite like the scene. I've talked about it before. They're singing the German national anthem, and everyone's like, "What?" And then they sing the French national anthem louder, and the Germans are like, and they put their head down and leave.
I'm like, literally a elementary school soccer team would have just kept on going louder. Like they just give up immediately. Like they're just like, the French go louder. Now you go louder than them. That's how this works. But they're like, ooh, can't beat that. And then they just immediately give up. It's like, how are you going to take over the world if you're surrendering to French people singing?
I know, but Louis, people are like, that's the point. Don't you understand? And it's common. It's a French.
That's the point. Ugh.
It's a French area or whatever, but there's not even a bar fight. They're not even like, fuck you fucking frog cunt.
Forget a bar, just sing like if I sang and then you tried to one off me by singing louder, I would just sing louder, at least a couple more steps, you know? They give up immediately. They're like, oh, we can't beat that, you know?
But all this being said, it's a touching scene. I do get like goosebumps. I'm like, yeah, it's fun. It's moving. It's sweet. It's more just comedy. So don't yell at me that I'm a piece of shit and I don't understand film or whatever. But I guess what's going on with these Nazis that are so friendly? I mean, they murder millions and millions of people. They're taking over the planet. And then fucking whatever the fuck his name is, sings the anthem. And they're like, well, shit, fuck. And they put their heads down and leave.
And then they're always like insulted and take he like with the Nazi at one point is like Laszlo. Oh no, Bogart's just another blundering fool. And then Renault is like, I remember when the Americans blundered into Germany, and the Nazis just like yeah, they're very like. Yeah, it is hard imagining that. It's hard to imagine that like that Nazi in that movie has already killed probably 1,000 Jews. It's hard to like imagine he's just like the whole even when he's wanting to kill Laszlo, he like tells Ingrid Bergman, you should get him out of here because something bad might happen. Like it's just they're very coy.
Yeah, and they're not just like, why? I guess I don't understand the movie, but I love the movie. But they're like, we got to get Laszlo legally. We want to arrest him and make an example. Like, why wouldn't they just show up and shoot him? They're Nazis.
Yeah, I don't. It's very bizarre. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, like they don't. America wasn't. Maybe they were in denial of the amount of atrocities they were doing, or it's obviously like a mainstream movie. You can't just have them like be like having Jewish sculpts around or whatever. Like
So do they just really respect the rules that they're like, this is unoccupied France? But I'm like, but Poland was unoccupied Poland before they occupied it. Like, but they're very respectful of Morocco. This is France's thing. So
I
let's
guess they're
just be nice
respectful until they occupy. Once they have enough troops to occupy. But Casablanca is a whole different area. They can't just like, and maybe they respect the French more. I think they also, that's another thing. The Poles were Slavs, which they hated almost as much as the Jews. So maybe they kind of respect the French more.
Okay. But they did occupy France also.
Yeah. I know. It's a good
in the
point.
movie.
They're also, it's a good point. Also, by the way, this is the first time I watched it, and I realized there is a painting of Hitler in the movie at one point.
Yes, I have that written down too. There's one up here. He makes a cameo.
I never saw that because it does seem so separate from like the Nazis we know and love. But then you see that painting of Hitler, like, oh yeah, they are. That painting is that guy said, I want to kill all the Jews. Everyone knew that.
Right.
So these guys who look like bad James Bond villains, or like just kind of, they look like they feel very British,
Yes, of course.
The movie is aware that these people want to kill all the Jews and still makes them.
That's what's so wild about seeing this movie. You went and saw the movie at the theater, a real theater. It was like a fucking balcony, like a theater. And the war was going on. I mean, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And it is quite inspiring and encouraging. I mean, it is a beautiful film. I know you have some flaws and issues we're going to talk about, but I mean, that whole ending where he's back in the fight and our problems don't amount to a hill of beans. I mean, it is quite moving and stunning.
What is a hill of beans?
It's a pile of beans that make a hill. I don't know the origins of the saying. I don't know.
Just it just seems. I mean, I know he says it. He says it like it makes sense, but maybe it's connected to something. Is it, but why
I'm sure there's some entomology or anthology, whatever the right word is.
Coffee beans or like just regular.
I'll look
beans?
it up for you. Let's not get hung up on the hill of beans. I mean, sayings are sayings. Who knows about sayings?
I think he's making up sayings and people just go with it. He's just
that exists.
Problems don't amount to a mountain of saltwater taffy, and everyone's like, oh yeah, that's the thing. That's a thing. Hill of beans.
All right, I'm gonna look up.
Look it up. All right.
Hill of beans meaning. So you're just not going to talk during this. This is why we need a producer.
What am I going to do, a fucking monologue while you're looking it up?
I don't know. Something negligible, importance of value.
Am I supposed to just be like, do a one-man show while you're looking up shit? The year was 1952.
No, you continue to podcast, you dipshit. I don't know.
On my own? I'm not, what am I, like Tim Dillon? I'm just going to start ranting?
Where's the expression? An older saying, okay, here you go. An older saying, not worth a bean, appeared as far as back as 1297 when historian Robert of Gloucester wrote in his English Chronicles. The American saying, not worth a hill of beans, began to appear around 1863. A hill of was often inserted in phrases to emphasize their meaning. So I think beans were good, and then a hill of was a term.
All right. For a second, I thought maybe he threw in hill of, like it was just. But okay, so it's older than I thought.
Of course, like, it didn't start here. They didn't just like throw out a new thing.
I know, but we all just quote that line. But I just wonder, like, what is a hill of fucking beans? But anyway, yeah. Okay, so let me talk about So the Nazis are very like, it is a little weird. There's the one part where the Nazis are like, we need to speak about this, and Laszlo's like, this is not the time or place. And the Nazis immediately are like scheduling some shit, which it is bizarre. But my big issue, I have two issues with this movie, right? And the first one is a thing that I'm not judging the movie for at the time, but it is interesting to watch now. So don't fucking call me like a PC woke piece of shit. All right.
Me? Okay.
I'm just saying, don't call me this because I'm aware that like.
I think with the fans.
But it is something very dated, which is Sam is basically just used as a jukebox for these two white people where they constantly just go up to him and like, play that song. And he has no agency of his own the whole movie in a way that's just like kind of like a little upsetting to watch, you know?
He has, first of all, he's friends with Rick. Rick is his friend.
I think he looks more like in Disney movies when they have a sidekick. He looks more like Princess Jasmine's tiger. Like he's just like following Rick around, and he's so concerned. He has no inner life. He's so concerned with everything Rick is doing to the point where, and look, this is not a critique. That's narrative shift. You know what I mean? That was the time.
But that was woke at the time. This is the 40s. They put a main character. His main sidekick, his main buddy is a black guy, and he's actually sweet. He gives him a cut of the house. And then he gives him the option to leave. He goes, he's going to offer you more. And it's a sweet sign. He said, I don't have the time to spend the money then.
I'm not critiquing it. I'm just recognizing something watching now that you kind of like, you know, even though it was woke at the time, you know, it is something that you just kind of think about a lot, that he has no narrative of his own. And there's one part where he's actually playing his own song, and Humphrey Bogart goes, what's that? He's like, oh, it's just something I made up. And Humphrey Bogart's like, stop that shit. You know what I want to hear? So like even his own shit doesn't get, you know, appreciated.
But he's not mad at him. That's his main squeeze. It's his buddy. He's like, stop that. It's like if my fucking wife just left me and you were like, hey, check out this new bit. I'd be like, shut up. You know what I want to hear? Fucking the classics.
But it is like when he's like, you want to go over the blue parrot, and like he'll pay you a lot more. He's like, well, I make as much money. It is like the black happy guy who's forced to be happy, kind of. You know what I mean? And he's only concerned with Humphrey Bogart the whole time. He's like, what's wrong, boss? You know what I mean? Like
maybe he's happy because he's not living in the United States of America at the time. He's probably thrilled to be out. Everyone's trying to get to America. He's like, I'm good right here. I got a job and I'm loved.
Anyway, I think there'll be an interesting movie just focusing on Sam. I want to know more about his life because I feel like he's faking it to Humphrey Bogart. He's putting on the code, you know, looking happy and shit, but really deep down, he's like, you know, upset. He probably wanted to go to the Blue Parrot if he's going to make twice as much.
I don't know. He had the chance. He had the option, and he can't spend the money. Also very Zen. You love the Zen over there. Now you think the Zen is fucking, you know, Jim Crow death metal.
But anyway, that's just something. That's just something that I like.
Jim Crow death metal.
Jim Crow death. That's good. That's something that I just noticed. I don't want to be one of these guys who's like, well, Mark Twain shouldn't have used the N-word, you know, even though like obviously Mark Twain is way more woke than we would have been. You know what I mean? But it's just interesting to see how back then certain people didn't have narratives, you know,
sure,
of their own, in a way that other minor characters did. You know what I mean? Like other minor characters still looked out for themselves. You know what I mean? Like Renault's still looking out for himself, but Sam has no inner life. You know what I mean? He's just only concerned with Humphrey Bogart's life the whole time. And
I don't agree with your assessment.
You don't agree?
No, I mean, he has his life. He has an option to leave, and he goes, nah, I like it here. I'm happy here. I'm content. He's having a great time performing. Shit with the
slave, where the slave says they're happy. It's like kind of like a fucking...
No, you're being dismissive towards him. You're calling him a slave with no mindset. He's choosing. This is his choice. He likes it. He's having a great time. He's playing beautiful piano.
What's his dream in life? Everyone else, you have people's desire in the movie. You have the desire of that woman. She wants to go to America. You know, you have the desire of all the people. He doesn't they don't really give him a desire.
If it's not a movie about him, you do sound like these woke assholes that are like, hey, where's the black people in the Woody Allen movie? You're like, this isn't about black people. It's about 4 rich assholes in the Upper East Side.
I'm just observing. I'm not I'm just saying, if you look at the other characters in the movie that have his screen lengths, I'm not saying he needs to have the same story as Humphrey. If you look at other characters with his screen length or even less screen time, they still have more of a narrative of a desire than he does. It is falling into that trap of the time of assuming like your black helper is more concerned with your life than their own life.
I hear you.
And it does stick out it does kind of, when you watch it now, that does stick out a lot to me. That like they don't like on the train when they're leaving, he's just looking at Humphrey Bogart. He's always concerned with him. The way people assume,
the way a friend does, a good friend.
Does Humphrey Bogart ever ask about him?
No, he's an asshole. Sam's the best guy in the movie.
Song. He wrote his own melody. He wrote his own song.
Yes.
And then Humphrey Bogart's like, cut that shit out.
Because the straight white guy is a self-centered asshole. This movie's woke before woke.
No,
he's the asshole. Rick's an asshole. Sam is good. Sam is good. Sam is nice. Rick's a piece of shit. That's the thing. And everybody knows, most people know Rick's name Everybody knows Sam's name. To this day, people that have never seen the movie, they know "Play It Again, Sam." Sam, which isn't even a line in the movie. He's the most memorable line.
They know him as the guy who plays music for these fucking white people and is used as a jukebox. Play the song from when we dated. Play the song from when we like made out on the balcony. They use him like in a fucking jukebox in a bar.
Nobody knows Ilsa's name. They say Ingrid Bergman. Yeah, Bergman. Oh, she's in there with Bogart. They know Sam. They don't know the actor's name because he doesn't matter, but they know Sam.
Yeah, exactly. Also, obviously, we talked about this, but Ingrid Bergman is 25, and she refers to him as a boy, and he's like 70. Who's that boy over there?
Well, boy, schmoy.
But isn't it interesting? Like, and this is just something I'm saying, like, it doesn't hold up, but no fault to its own. It's just something I'm,
Sure.
I do, because I do think this movie it was woke for its time, but she does call him a boy, even though he's like 50 and she's like 28 or whatever, and it would be interesting to go back in time and be like, so you call him a boy, even though he's like way older than you. Why do you think you do that? You know what I mean?
That's my boy.
Well, there's no other explanation than, I just think black people are inferior, so they don't really grow up as adults the same way we do. Because that's the only reason, right?
Who is that boy? I don't know, boy. Maybe it's just a term. Who's that guy? Who's that boy?
No, come on. It's.
I don't know. I'm saying I don't know. But yes, obviously that seems more likely. But she wasn't like this. Get over here, boy. Like, there is some differences. She's like, who is that boy? Yeah, and she's saying it in a loving tone. She is like, who is that boy over there?
That's what's interesting. Back then, like both types were problematic, but they're two different types. Like nothing holds up. So there's like the really awful people would be like, who's that boy over there? And then even the wokest people are like, who's that boy over there? So
right.
Either way, you're still calling him boy. You know what I mean?
Yes, I understand. That's a better point than the previous one.
I don't know. I think I'm making a good point. And
I got another point. What are you going to say?
Yeah. No. Say your point.
I got a point. How about this point? Rick's hiding spot of like the most important thing, not that great. And he does it right in front of everybody.
I know.
He just like opens the piano. Like anyone could be watching him and be like, oh, he just did. What the fuck? Rick just opened the piano.
There's a lot of like people doing clandestine things kind of loudly. Like they're like, let's meet tomorrow. And then like someone's already like walking right by, and then they'll just be like, great to see you right now. Like they obviously have a tone where the guy would be like, clearly you're all being sneaky about something.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. There's a lot of like, a lot of times they think they're being clandestine when they're not. Yeah.
Right. We know your page a day calendar's word. What else do I got here? Friendly Nazis. The Nazis are fine with Sam. I know it's funny that like there's 500 Nazis at a bar where a black guy's playing piano in 1942, and you're like, hey, she called him boy. I'm like, what about the Nazis that just don't shoot him?
The Nazis are even nicer than her. Yeah, I get it. Yes. But,
what a great moment. The script is just amazing. I know you hate it. You think it's trash, whatever. But
there's many things I love about the script, which I will talk about first before I talk about my main issue.
I love that Bogart is like, I never make plans that far ahead. And then the flashback scene, she does the thing where she's like, let's not plan ahead. So he got it from her. So she's lingering in there. And as the great Joni Mitchell line, love is touching souls. Surely you touched mine because part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time about Leonard Cohen. Greatest song lyric of all time.
God, I love that song. That's about Leonard Cohen?
Yeah.
A Case of You?
Yeah.
Beautiful song. But I'm about to weep right now. But there's before I talk about my main issue, obviously there's amazing dialogue in it. It's just one witty line after. I mean, the scene we talked about with him and the woman at the bar when he goes, I never make that many, like that whole exchange is just incredible. What was the first line in that? She's like, it's like every line.
What are you doing tonight? Or
he's
whatever.
like, yeah.
I don't make plans that far ahead.
But there's another, like, it's like 4 different, like, witty things back to back. There's so many amazing. I mean, when Paul, whatever his name is, what's his name?
Rudd.
Paul Rudd at the beginning is like, you hate me, don't you? And he's like, if I thought about you at all, I might,
Yeah.
Fuck it up. It's a great line.
It's great. A lot of great lines. Oscar Schindler and Rick, very similar.
Yes, I wrote that down.
I wrote it down too.
Yes, but this in the Revenant, we're really on the same page. I think he shot Oscar Schindler, the way he introduces him cinematically was very influenced by Humphrey Bogart. You see his cuff first, and you see him in the white suit in black and white. But the way they show him, you don't show him right away. Like in Oscar Schindler, you see his cuff and he's like doing the hands. And in this, you see his hand on the chessboard.
Right.
His cuff. I think Spielberg deliberately showed him like that.
I think so too. And then there's the scene with the young woman begging to get out, and he takes over and does the roulette. That's very similar to the one with the parents, where she put out some of the lipstick and stuff, and then he takes off his watch and saves her. And
the fucking Nazis. But the Nazis are a little meaner in Schindler's List.
Yeah, slightly. But it's very similar, and they're both profiteering off of war. And they're both these kind of, kind of angry guys, womanizing. But that scene is so touching when he goes over the roulette wheel and gives the money. Beautiful. And it gives you this nice window into he's part of the fight and all these allusions to him being on the side of the underdog. He's this beautiful character who's been hardened by this situation.
And I think Schindler's List also is, I think Casablanca, in my opinion, I don't know what came before, but it almost created this genre of the asshole that's gonna, who's gonna turn good at the end, who used to be good, the asshole who like finds grace at the end, which is the Schindler's List.
You're saying you don't know which one came first, Schindler's List? Or
well, I don't know if other movies before Casablanca kind of helped create that genre, but I feel like a lot of movies fall under that. Three Kings, George Clooney, like you always have like that smart ass who becomes heroic at the end, Yeah. Though, of course, once he becomes heroic, he's no longer the guy you love, because he's now just he becomes a purely moral guy, because like Laszlo is the moral guy who's boring as fuck. And he kind of sucks as a person. Like, he's not curious about Ingrid Bergman. He doesn't care that she fucked this guy. And it's almost like, I know you shouldn't be like super possessive, but he seems almost indifferent,
Oh, he's understanding. First of all, he's in the middle of a war. He actually is a person that cares that the Nazis are taking over the world. He's in the fight and he loves her. He loves her deeply. They're married and they've been married for years. So he doesn't need to go, what? And spit out his drink. He just goes, yeah, you thought I was dead. I don't know what this guy's deal is. He's secure. He's a secure man.
I think he's an example of when you make someone not have any moral problems. Like every character, the great characters are defined by their character flaws. Because he technically doesn't really have character flaws, he almost doesn't even feel like a person. He just seems so boring to me. You got to have character flaws to be kind of interesting. That's why the most interesting characters in the movie, to me by far, are Bogart and Renault. And Renault's amazing because he's basically a psychopath.
But he's great and he's clever and he's fun. He's got so many great lines.
Well, here's one other issue. Renault's great. He's amazing. I will say this. His turn at the end, I don't find believable. This is a guy who's been fucking women to give them visas the whole time. He goes whichever way the wind blows, and then he decides to be like heroic at the end. It doesn't seem true.
That's not unlike Schindler either.
Yeah, but there's nothing in Renault before that to suggest. I don't know. You don't think that seemed like a little out of character? This is a guy who was fucking women every night.
What does fucking women have to do with anything? I don't get it.
He's
if you fuck women, you can't be against the Nazis?
No, because he's fucking them only to give them visas. He's basically forcing them.
Because he can't get laid. He's like a piece of shit. He doesn't know how to get laid, so he uses that to get laid.
That makes him like a horrible person.
I guess. He's not like a great person at the end.
Well, he's just jumping in. He's suddenly jumping into the fight.
Yeah, but it's for Rick. He's got a crush on Rick. He loves Rick. Earlier, he's like, if I was a woman, I'd be quite taken by Rick.
It's true. He's kind
of half gay.
I do think that I do have a theory that he does kind of want to fuck Rick, right? Which
yes, of course.
It's he wants to fuck Rick, and part of me thinks maybe he's fucking it's like a gay guy who's closeted and he's fucking all these women.
Yes.
To kind of like prove he's not gay. So you're thinking at the end he doesn't really care about the fight. He's just hoping to like fuck Bogart.
Yes, he likes Rick.
But does Bogart want to fuck him?
No, Bogart's a man.
I still think, yes, there is some interesting shit underneath there with him, but I still think like it is a little weird, the heroism that comes out of him ultimately, unless you want to go completely with the gay interpretation. I think he wants to be on that side, but he's afraid. He's a coward. He's afraid of the Nazis. The Nazis are taking over, so he's keeping himself open to that. And then once he sees Rick joining the fight, he goes, hey, Rick, I love Rick. I admire Rick. I'll be with him. I don't. This is a guy who always goes which way the wind blows, and I love that about him. He's just a complete.
The wind blows back the other way now. He sees Laszlo. He sees
wind.
Rick. Gives him hope.
That's not enough wind. It's not enough wind. It's
huge
not
breeze.
enough. It's not. That is barely
Rick.
A breeze.
It's Rick. Rick. They admire Rick. He's been fighting for the underdog the whole time. I mean, he runs this business. They all admire him. He's like he's obsessed with Rick. Rick never drinks with the people. Whoa, another thing broke it. He loves and obsessed with Rick.
Are you saying he's altruistically Renault, this guy who's, mad when he can't fuck a woman to give her a visa? Are you saying he's altruistically joining at the end or just following Rick? Like, what do you think his motives are?
People are layered. You can take advantage of women, but still care about the future of society.
Of course. But I don't see any hint in the movie that he cares about the future of society. And you see that in Humphrey Bogart built up the whole time. So you see that with Renault. You don't really see any sign of that, so it seems unbelievable at the end. It seems like too much of a stretch for this fucking amoral rascal to make such a switch. You got to give me that a little.
I guess. I mean, I'll give it to you because you're feeling that way. When I watch it, I don't feel that way. So I'll give it to you if that's how you feel. You can't argue with people's feelings. You feel that way. You feel that way. I mean, I watch it. I don't get that feeling.
If you want to sell me on that, like he just wants to fuck Rick, I can see that maybe. That's a whole other movie. But like,
I think he does.
I mean, maybe he wants to fuck Rick too as a bonus, but like when he throws that Vicky water down, that's like a patriotic moment. And it's like, I mean, this guy is just like, has no morals the whole time, but that's what makes him a great character. I love Renault in this. He's great. He has no shame.
Oscar Schindler doesn't have a lot of morals at the beginning. He's fucking everyone.
But they set it up. They build it. He gets angry. He has guilt. Renault never has guilt.
Okay. Agree to disagree, but I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
I mean. All right. Now here's my main issue. I got to figure out how to articulate this.
Please.
All right. I love the movie the first 30 minutes. I love the pain. I love all that. I think the minute when she has the gun on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the minute she just admits to being in love with him, the rest of the movie to me feels like a fantasy that Humphrey Bogart wrote, where he's just kind of like suddenly morally superior to everyone. And are you trying to, is that like
no, it's fixing my glasses.
Okay.
I just think he's like, shit. I bought them for the movie that I made. I produced a movie, starred in it. It's going to be great. And
that's the glasses for the movie? Wow.
Yeah, and I got my other ones back because they're all big and goofy. They slide down.
Donate them to the Museum of Moving Images.
Oh, it's gonna be in the Smithsonian. I'm holding out. I'm gonna like put lipstick on and kiss the lens and put them in the Smithsonian when this baby wins.
I can't wait
for the Oscars.
I can't wait till they have the comments for this because they think you're serious. He really thinks his glasses are going to be in the Smithsonian. How delusional do you get?
It's really quite staggering. Some of the comments, you're like, what? By the way, can I just push back on this comment real quick? We got to wrap. I mean, we've been going so long. You have your big point. I'm going to let you get your big point. But can I just comment on this? People write this about us and about me often, and it's like they're like, anything popular, he hates it. We get it. He's a contrarian. He hates anything popular. My favorite musician is Bruce Springsteen. My favorite band, Pearl Jam. My favorite TV show that I think is the greatest piece of art ever assembled, Seinfeld. 90 million people watched it. My favorite movie is Goodfellas. My favorite actor is Robert De Niro. My favorite director is Martin Scorsese. I'm like, I love my favorite band, the Rolling Stones. The Stones, Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, and Pearl Jam are my 4 favorite artists. I'm like, I just don't like The Sopranos. I don't care about Breaking Bad. There's movies.
You don't like TV drama. That's it. That's whatever. You just don't like it. You don't like the form.
I'm like Seinfeld and Bruce Springsteen and Forrest Gump. They're not exactly fucking like sleepers. They're like nobody. They're not independent movie. You know what I mean? It's not like you don't know fucking Bob Stoopy-Boo. He's a singer that plays in Kingston, Massachusetts.
Basically, if you think Joe's a film snob, then you are a retard of like you are like so like that I guess you think like Joe Dirt is like the greatest movie of all time or something. Like it's like yeah. But anyway,
sorry. Back to your big finale point. That's probably stupid because Casablanca rules. I love Casablanca. I love it.
Of course. Look, I think you're basic as shit. I don't know why people think this. That's crazy. Yeah, you love Good Will Hunting. Yeah, you're fucking basic. Yeah.
I mean, I like Good Will Hunting. I tear it apart. That's one of the ones I get mad about. Oh, because we love it. Good Will Hunting is one that triggers people. If you shit on Good Will Hunting, which we do excessively, people get very upset.
Yeah, I know. But it's like movies like mean like it's like it's such an like movies. It's all emotional baggage you bring to the movies. We've talked about this. When I shit on Field of Dreams,
yeah, that's right.
I'm like saying your dad's not proud of you. Like that's what you're hearing. You know what I mean?
I mean, that one you're just wrong. It's a great movie.
But there is emotional baggage, right?
Of course. It touches my soul, but it's also great.
Yeah, sure. But so anyway, Casablanca at the end, I don't know. It's kind of like it's a fantasy. To me, it's his own fantasy. And I know you're gonna be like, well, but he doesn't get the girl. But it's still a fantasy of him just being morally superior to everyone and doing the right thing. It's like the minute she goes, I'm in love with you, I can't resist you again. It's like the Humphrey Bogart character took over the movie and just wrote what he wanted to see. And I know you're gonna say, well, he doesn't get her at the end, but it's still him just showing himself as a complete fucking saint. And I don't like it. I don't connect to it as much. It's like,
I'm not going to say that. It's a decent point. He didn't write the movie. He's a star, but you do write for the star back then, particularly. But it works for me. It works for me and fucking the rest of society also. But
I know it's what cinema is. It's kind of like it's kind of BS, but it's like convincing in a way.
Yeah, I mean, it is it's like a fantasy. I'm like, it is a fantasy. It's a fucking film. It's not a documentary.
I know, but I guess I'm too much of a cunt. I like to see, like at the end of Treasure Theater Madra, I feel like you're looking at human nature and it's like it feels more real to me. At the end of this, it really is. It is movie magic. That is what it is.
Of course, it's magical and it worked. But I see what you mean, and it's like any movie you can watch and take it apart. Of course, this viewing, I've seen it 50 times. Caught me in a nice, vulnerable, sweet place where I had my phone in the other room, and it just touched me. I got misty. I'm gay.
It can touch you, it can touch you. But I guess the way I'm watching, I'm just like, for me, the great movies show human nature for what they are. And this kind of shows what you want it to be,
right.
It's just a little perfect at the end. He is becoming the minute she's like, you just think for the both of us. It's such a like male, like I'm going to fucking save the day and I'm going to organize it all and control it all. It's just it feels like the movie becomes a fantasy. And before that moment, it had such real painful emotion. And I feel like it goes from painful emotion to just pure fantasy. It's like if at the end of Schindler's List, all the Jews were like, you did it, Schindler. And they just picked him up on their arms and just started like moving it, like just carrying him around like Rudy. It just feels like he wrote it, like the character like is dreaming this. And I can't connect to it as much,
I hear you. I think it's a valid point.
Okay.
I think it's valid. I don't think that's insane.
All right, so you agree? Okay, yeah. I mean, and look,
I didn't say agree.
No, but you think I'm completely right about everything. I get it. You think I'm a great film critic. But yeah,
a little bit of Brokeback in this movie too. I wish I could quit you. It's the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, Oscar, are you farting?
No. That one really pisses people off too. People don't like the farts.
Well, it was, ended not with a bang, but with a whimper. That was
yeah, it was bad. It was a little daisy.
But yeah, so it is, to me, there are two types of movies. Like there's the movies that really get into the magic of movies, but they're kind of a lie a little. They're just too perfect. And this is that, but this is the ultimate version of that. People becoming their best selves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but it's just. I see what you mean. I understand what you're saying, but also it's a movie that's fucking 80 years old and is still enjoyable to watch. I mean, how incredible is that? I mean, I'm like
for sure
tearing up like a goddamn queer. And I'll say this about Victor Laszlo, by the way, the most pragmatic and understanding human being of all time. Like his wife is just like, yeah, I'm in love with this guy and I might leave you for him. And he's like this, well, whatever.
Which makes him fucking boring as shit as a character. You kind of hate him because he has no emotion. You just hate him. And you love Humphrey Bogart because Humphrey Bogart is this guy with this fucking vulnerability. That's what's so cool about him in the movie. Humphrey Bogart's like such a manly actor, but this whole movie is about him having his heart broken.
Yes.
So it's like a very vulnerable movie. But then by the end, he becomes like a douchebag, like Laszlo. He becomes like not the character you love, you know?
He's not a
I'm not
douchebag.
saying-
He's sweet. He's thoughtful at the end. He's compassionate at the end. He's amazing at the end.
I'm not saying people can't become good in a movie or do good things, but there's something about the goodness in this that has like a tinge of like self-righteousness and control in it. That's just like not as moving to me. You know what I mean? Like,
I hope you become good at some point.
you know what it is? You know what it is? There's self-satisfaction there at the end. When I would have rather seen kind of like a sadness about leaving her. It's that's what it is. I got it. It's pure self-satisfaction. He's like, I'm a great person. Come on.
Right.
And
This is a great point. This is a good point. Now you got a good point.
I got it. It's like a tweet that's just like, I'm a great guy, but you want to see the sadness of losing Ingrid Bergman, and you don't. You just see him again instead of seeing that sadness, which would have been, in a way, that would have, by showing that selfish emotion or just self-centered emotion of being sad, that would have made the sacrifice seem that much more powerful. But instead it becomes a fantasy of him like, well, I did the right thing. Now come on, Renault, let's go. You know, don't try to grab my dick later. We're going to be friends now. It's just like, that's the part that doesn't ring true.
This is a great point. You finally got to a great point. The rest is horseshit. It didn't make any sense. You lost me, but this is a good point.
I got
but this is where movies got better in the 70s and into the 90s, because like an Alexander Payne directed Casablanca, there'd be like a 10-minute silent sequence with just piano where Rick is just sitting there sobbing and like, you know, beating up Sam or whatever. But it's a happy ending. It's the 40s and it's the war. And we have to be like, we're going to win the war. I mean, that's another thing is it's the middle of the war. We got to whatever.
That's the other thing. People did think the world was possibly coming to an end. So
yes.
You kind of
at the hands of these people.
At the hands of these people. They were very worried that the Nazis were going to come in and make them schedule an appointment in their office the next day to discuss the legal.
I mean, like Pearl Harbor was like 18 months ago when this came out. They can't be like, he's depressed, and then he shoots himself in the face, and it says the end. You know.
Well, I was gonna say, well, I'm not in that situation where I think the world's coming to an end, but I guess it is kind of a little similar. So
no, this is way scarier than that.
The Nazis?
Yeah.
I guess more than COVID.
No, climate change, not COVID. COVID's a joke. The Nazis are a joke. We're all gonna be underwater in about 10 minutes.
No, we're gonna be fine. They're putting the trees back in the air or whatever.
Yeah, it's gonna be fine. The vacuum.
You know what's funny?
Wrap up. This is longer than Casablanca.
All right, finally. But anyway, I got to a good point. I was tired today, but I got to that point. Yeah, it's a little bit of fake heroism at the end.
Yes,
but still, obviously, a fake, like a knight. You know, I've saved the day. When you want to see more, like see a little sadness. You know.
But the dialogue's amazing. The script is amazing. It's so beautiful. I mean, the everything about it is great. Yes. The cinematography is amazing. It's just beautiful.
Except for all the things I said that were not great. But yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
All right,
we gotta wrap it up. I mean, this is fucking.
Look, I gotta clean this apartment before I got jizz on the walls. I gotta clean everything before they come.
This jizz on the calendar. When do they come back?
At 4. This is like risky business. I gotta do a bunch of shit.
It's hilarious.
We can get food or something after, you know.
All right. I'll be around until 4. So whatever. We'll figure something out. We don't need to hang out. But I could bounce some bits. Yikes. All right. Well, this weekend I'm in Philadelphia, Helium, Philadelphia. Although my agent just called, which makes me nervous. But Helium, Philadelphia this weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next weekend, Royal Oak, Michigan at Mark Ridley's thing. Bananas the weekend after that, which is now in Rutherford. Rutherford Behave.
Oh, nice.
Hey, that's a good headline. If he had a scandal, Rutherford Behave.
Oh, that's If the New York, what was it? What's the tabloid called? If they were around back then, what's it called?
Daily News.
No, the main one, the New York
Post.
The New York Post.
Yeah. But any tits. Helium in Portland, Oregon, November 13th, 11th through the 13th, and then the weekend after that, I'm at Chicago Zanies, and subscribe to my YouTube because I'm going to put out a special at some point. Subscribe to Raanan's YouTube because he's going to put out a special soon. Please go subscribe.
Subscribe, and you can. I'm on the road with Louis. The 25th to October 6th. It's on his tour dates. Come see me. I may be crying because Robert Kelly was like, bullied me beforehand, but it'll be fun. And then I'm with Whitney Cummings at Ridgefield Playhouse in
Nice.
Connecticut, October 8th and 9th. And then I have no other gigs, and I'm about to move into an expensive apartment. So
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. And yeah, please, follow my YouTube, because I'm going to shoot a special, and the numbers are going up. So yeah, and I post clips on YouTube. So
Yeah, keep getting in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is good. This is our first real movie talk since we got back. That's great.
This was great. I love this episode. This was fun.
This was really good. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Talk to you in a little bit. Peace.
Bye.